Hello and welcome to this special snowy edition of Good Morning Maryland. I'm Randall Newsom.
And I'm Megan Knight. Thank you for watching us and streaming us. Just want to give a quick shout out to my family. They are up and watching right now. My nieces Emma and Lily, nephew Luca. Man, they're going to have such a great day playing in the snow.
Yeah.
Lots of sledding, snowman building, you name it, they're going to be doing it.
Yeah, so in the meantime, we have team coverage of the winter weather, and we're starting with meteorologist Abigail Degler, who's been tracking this thing, feels like for days.
It has been.
It does feel like for days, yeah, and it's still going. It's a marathon at this point. All of the team will be in. Stevie was up first. I'm second. Dylan will be here tonight, and we'll walk you through it. Don't worry. Lots to talk about. We have some active warnings and some active snow showers across the state. We have been babysitting radar for the past several hours, and it's been an active child as of late. So we've had to keep our eyes on things. We are seeing a warm notch of air trying to make its way in. Right now, our primary concern is accumulation and roadway hazards. We're seeing a winter storm warning across the entirety of the state and multiple states. But for us here at home until 4 a.m. on Monday. This is going to be at times hazardous on the roadways. So early this morning, if you were driving around the midnight hour, it wasn't too bad, but things started to pick up around 1 a.m. It has continued to pick up since then. We're seeing some of those heavier bands start to push in. A moderate and heavy band is now across portions of Maryland. We're seeing a warm front trying to lift through the southeastern tier of the state, and then we'll see another warm notch of air try to make its way in later on today. This is a constantly moving part kind of forecast. We have lots of things to look at and a lot of nowcasting. So usually we do forecasting looking into the future. Since this has been so tricky of a forecast, we've done a lot of nowcasting. You can see how widespread this heavy band of snow has been over the past several hours. This is going to boost our numbers as far as accumulation, which we'll go over in the next few minutes.
Abigail, you've been running this marathon for us. How you holding up? You okay?
I had my second cup of coffee.
There you go.
So that's helping. Woo! But it's going to be a long stretch before I get a break and before Dylan gets in, because he's going to be carrying you through the rest of the evening. I got the morning and the early afternoon before my reinforcements do show up. It's a team effort because we've been dealing with the prep for this since yesterday, the activity since early this morning, and we're continuing to see some heavy bands of snow push through. It's 8:45. We've been tracking this since yesterday, but active radar since around 1 a.m. this morning, and it's been nothing but accumulation since then. I do want to mention over here in this corner, as I scoot over, down to our very south, we are seeing some of this pink color. We need to keep an eye on it because that means a warmer notch of air is trying to make its way in, and that also means the snow is subject to change, and that would cause some hazards on the roadways and make your shoveling, if that's what you're planning on doing today, a lot harder. We're seeing it start to slip up just to the south of Fredericksburg. It will continue to push up. We're going to see some activity off towards the eastern shore start to move up. We have some warm fronts wanting to make their way through, and that warm notch of air will change the dynamic or the structure of our precipitation from big fluffy snowflakes to sleet to freezing rain and little ice pellets, all looking like a possibility today. That's why we have a winter storm warning through 4 a.m. on Monday. Look at these current conditions. I love getting live video outside because it paints a picture and gives you a visual for what I'm talking about. Now, this is a higher vantage point. This is looking at the Inner Harbor, and if you can squint, you see Fed Hill off in the background there. It is covered in snow, so are these little walkways next to the Inner Harbor. And mind you, the harbor is a warmer mass or body of water, which should impact snowfall, at least in the very center portion of this little area, and still we're seeing some accumulating snow. That gives you a hint for just how cold it is outside. We are dealing with the teens still and struggling. Even with these south-southwest winds, it is ever-changing or variable winds that will move throughout the day today. That warm notch of air will help to push in some southerly flow. We'll have some west winds, some north winds. All in all, it's just going to be messy today, and that's the best summation I can give you of this forecast. It is catastrophic to the U.S. as a whole. We're seeing it impact over 20 states. We're included in this. And as we look at our snowfall map, which hasn't changed since early this morning, but may change as soon as we get some of that mixed precipitation in, we're looking at 7 to 10 inches for the metropolitan area on the northern tier. As we look towards the southern region of the I-95 corridor, that gets knocked down. And the reason being, when that snow changes over, it has less moisture to turn into snow. And what temperature that is, typically that rain is a little bit warmer. It melts anything on impact. It may refreeze, but what snow accumulation we have, it'll undercut it. So we're looking at 5 to 8 for the south region of the state, off towards the eastern shore, 4 to 6, because they are expecting more of a glazing and an icing later on this morning and early this afternoon. And then the mountains, up to 14 inches for our higher elevations. So what have you in the state of Maryland, depending on your location, we're going to see a wide range of snow, sleet, and even potentially ice. For now, let's turn over to Christy Breslin for a check of never mind.
We'll take it away for you, Abigail. Thank you so much.
You're watching Maryland's first television station, WMAR 2 News. Now, Good Morning Maryland.
Thanks for watching this special snow edition of Good Morning Maryland. I'm Megan Knight.
And I'm Randall Newsom. We have the wall-to-wall snow coverage for you all morning long. Teams out in the field tracking the conditions. Christy Breslin keeping an eye on the roads. And, of course, we got this lady right here, the leading lady, meteorologist Abigail Degler. Yes, Yes, ma'am.
Yes. You guys have been doing awesome, by the way. I mean, you guys have been tracking this storm now for, I mean, it feels like forever.
Yeah.
But it's a very tricky storm. I don't think people understand just how complicated this storm was and putting the snowfall totals out there and all that stuff. So I want to commend you guys for really staying on top of it and doing your nowcasting, because I think that's really what this storm kind of lends itself
to.
I mean, I was on vacation visiting family in Phoenix, Arizona this past week. The team was holding down the fort, but I did get like 3 or 4 calls from family. And they're like, hey, so we heard about this storm.
Right.
What should we expect?
What's going on?
So even as like a person
even on vacation, she's still working.
I'm still a servant to the public,
well, we
mostly to my family, but I appreciate it. And the first responders and the blue collar workers out there, all the respect to you. It is a lot of work. It's early morning hours, and we are dealing with a lot. We are in the thick of it right now. For the snow portion, it's going to get worse for the wear. For the ice portion, because there's 2 rounds to this storm for the second half of the morning into the afternoon and evening hours. Thankfully, I'm getting the delicate snowfall that's just coating the roadways. Dylan will get the ice later on, but I may help him out a little bit and tag team just in case those roadways get slick. We'll make sure you get all the information that you need, and if you have to go out, you'll have up-to-the-minute updates if anything deteriorates roadway condition-wise, or if we have some power outages, which is a possibility today. A winter storm warning until 4 a.m. on Monday. Now, this is looking to subside, most of this ice and snow mixture, by late tonight, but it's going to linger and refreeze going into early Monday morning, and the overnight hours are going to be dicey. Now, this looks different than what we saw just an hour ago. We have a lot of moving parts with this system. That's why I got the 3 phone calls while on vacation. We have this warm front here that's going to impact the eastern shore. It's going to try to lift through and give us some mix. Now, the eastern shoreline is going to get the brunt of the ice. The northern tier of the state will get a lot more snow, especially off towards the mountains. But if you look over here, I've been calling it a notch of warm air. That is trying to make its way in, and it's already pushing through West Virginia. This will contain some ice, and that is the concerning word there. We can deal with snow. Snow in itself can be hazardous, yes, but this doesn't look compacting just yet. We are dealing with light, fluffy snow that's just pretty to look at, and it's nice and fluffy. The weight comes later as far as like pounds, and this is a good indication of how much snow we've been getting, up to roughly 8 inches for our western communities, and it's starting to spread. Some heavy bands are going to move in. We're already seeing some heavy bands over the eastern shore. The weight comes with the changeover. When we start to see that mixing, which is signified by the salmon or pink color down to the south, That's heavy, and it's going to freeze on impact, especially if it's hitting snow. That's going to create an ice barrier, help it to stick around, and create slick spots on the roadways. It's also subject to weigh down power lines, and that's where the primary concern comes from today. So as we look at current radar, we have a thick band here. We have an even thicker band here over towards the mountains, where we're expecting up to 14 inches and moderate to heavy snowfall throughout the state. And this is expected to be persistent for the next hour or so. Most models are suggesting this warm notch of air will lift through around 10 a.m. and that's when things start to get a little dicey. As we talk about the next several hours, we are dealing with that changeover, and we'll walk you through it here as we go throughout the broadcast. But for now, I'm going to turn it towards Christy Breslin so she can give you the official update on the roadways. All right, bear with me, guys. I'm a little out of breath. I just ran outside. I did put on layers, gloves, the whole ordeal to go measure a few spots. We'll see that video hopefully here in a little bit. We averaged about 5 inches, a little bit more in a few areas. That wind probably drifted some of that snow, but one area was closer to 5.5 or 6 inches. So I would say the Towson area, close to 5, a few locations, maybe closer to 6. It just depends on where you live. As we look off towards our west, Thurmont, Frederick County, dealing with a moderate to heavy band of snow, highlighted by this darker color here. We're going to see it off towards the west and off towards the east right now. This is the area of concern off towards our south, and it's starting to creep up. We do expect this to lift into our region later on this morning. This does consist of ice. We saw our reporters in the last 15 minutes or so. They're talking about the changeover from snow into ice pellets. We may be seeing sleet, graupel. It depends on the temperatures of the air aloft, what form that precipitation is going to come down in. Since it's starting to change over from that fluffy, nice snow that we saw early this morning to more of an ice, that means we have that warm notch of air trying to make its way in, and that's going to change things over and cut down on our overall accumulations. That's going to take the moisture away from snow. And so with that, I will say the roadways are going to quickly deteriorate. The 4 Ps will be a good idea. Check on people, pets, pipes, and if you have outdoor plants, all those things need to be brought in. Maybe open up those cabinet doors and have a little bit of a drip. You don't want anything to freeze, as Kevin was talking about earlier. It's 17, it feels like the single digits, and we still have active snow. That will change over into freezing rain, sleet, and a snow mix. And this is going to be throughout the morning and into the afternoon hours. We're going to consistently be cold enough to see this accumulate. Now, the slick spots will happen as we head into the afternoon and evening hours of tonight. We will see a possible refreeze as we go into Monday. That's why we're seeing this winter storm warning active until early Monday morning, I believe 4 a.m. So as we look throughout the rest of your Sunday, we're going to see that mix. We really don't get any relief until we head into early Monday morning. Back to you both.
You're watching Maryland's first television station, WMAR 2 News. Now, Good Morning Maryland.
All right, thanks for watching this special snow edition of Good Morning Maryland. I'm Megan Knight.
And I'm Randall Newsom. No, your eyes are not playing tricks on you right now. It is us on this Sunday morning because we got snow and a lot of it. We're wall to wall with our coverage with you, and then we have teams in the field. We got Christy Breslin keeping an eye on the roads, and then Abigail Degler just running this marathon, just smiling and nodding.
Yeah,
like that.
You've been doing a great job because I know that this thing has been changing minute by minute, hour by hour. We started off with the nice white fluffy stuff. Yep. Now it sounds like it's the pellets, the ice pellets, so that's not good.
Not so
Listen,
cute.
I have the cushy job of looking at computers and looking at a green wall while Jeff and Kara,
yeah,
they're out in it.
Yeah.
Although I guess I do envy Kara just a little bit. I did have to run out and take some measurements because it looked fun, and also I wanted to verify what the radar was looking at. We're getting some snow out there.
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
building.
Several inches.
Yes.
I mean, Kara, I think, said 5 the last time we talked to her.
That's pretty accurate. What I measured outside, and hopefully we'll have that video soon, I measured in 3 different spots. It ranged from 4 inches to closer to 6 inches and 5 inches. And And typically you want to measure in about 3 or 4 spots, flat surfaces, and just average it out. And that's about 5 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some portions of the county could see upwards of 6 already. Some may have a little bit of less of snow. All in all, we are going to be dealing with a mess out there. That's throughout the entirety of the state. So much so that the National Weather Service has issued winter alerts, a winter storm warning, in fact, until 4 a.m. on your Monday. And it's not only us. Misery loves company. We're seeing this in Pennsylvania, Delaware, West Virginia, Virginia, across the Ohio Valley. We're even seeing alerts in the Tennessee Valley, a little more to the south. They're mostly dealing with ice. We'll get our fair share as we head into the next several hours. We have these warm notches of air trying to make their way in. It's less prominent across the state here. It's more so off towards our west and towards our south, associated with some low pressure systems and warm fronts trying to lift through. That's changing our air aloft, and that's allowing some warm air to change it from snow to water or ice and have it refreeze as it nears the surface, because there's a cooler batch of air closer to the ground. So as we look at this map here, satellite and radar, the wide view, it's showing that we are still dealing with snow. For the most part, that is accurate. We've seen quite a few bands of heavy snow push through from the west, and it's spread from West Virginia and Virginia all the way towards the city proper now and portions of Baltimore County, and hopped over the bay and on the eastern shoreline. The eastern shoreline to the northern tier, upwards of 4 inches have accumulated. Off towards our west, upwards of 8 inches have accumulated, and off towards the mountains, we could see up to 14 inches for our higher elevations. So if you like more snowy conditions, go towards the mountains. If you like less snow and want to drive through the ice, off towards Ocean City will be your better bet. Maryland has this nice dynamic of a lot of changing landscapes, and that does influence our weather overall, so it just depends on your location. We're at about 20 degrees. We'll see winds change from the west to the north to the south, and primarily to the south as we go into tonight, thanks to that warm front lifting. We're already starting to see some evidence of that warm front lifting with radar. It's showing this pink or this fuchsia color or salmon, depending on your TV. This is pretty well ice and sleet. The northern tier dealing with some mixture, some ice pellets, some sleet, and some snow all throughout the mix here. And as we look at Futurecast, it's just going to continue to swell and lift as we head over the next several hours to where ice becomes a little bit more prominent as we head into the afternoon hours. So we are still not recommending travel even as we head into the second half of your day and early Monday morning. To verify that, since I'm not the expert, let's turn now to Christy Breslin for a check of the roadways. Talking about snow out there, turning towards ice, and that is wreaking some havoc on the roadways. We have our secondary team trying to make it in, and some of them are getting stuck. So just take it as an example. Don't get on the roadways. Do as we say, not as we do, as the saying goes. We're dealing with some heavy bands of snow still pushing to the east from the west. It's mixing with some ice now. So it's slicker than snot out there in a few areas, especially off towards our south and where we have some of those warm air notches transferring from snow into sleet and ice pellets. It is going to make it hazardous on the roadways. We're going to see quite a bit of accumulation and then ice on top of that accumulation. So that light fluffy snow that was easier to navigate at 5, 6, 7, and 8 this morning will not be so easy to navigate because it'll compact, it'll have some weight with that ice, and it will make you lose traction. So please, please be careful. If you do have to be out, use that emergency kit. Kitty litter is great, so is salt, something to give you traction on the roadways if you have to be out. As we look at radar here, just radar and not previous scans, we are dealing with heavy bands still off towards the mountains. They're going to see the highest accumulation amounts. We're still seeing moderate bands of snow, at least through this radar and its direction that it's pointing, its elevation, and then off towards the northern tier of the I-95 corridor. We're also seeing some of this ice and sleet mix off towards our south and towards our east. Now, as we progress through the morning and into the afternoon, we're going to see temperatures elevate from the teens and 20s now to the middle to upper 20s. And with a warm notch currently in the 20s. We're going to see more warm air try to invade our atmosphere and our space as we head into the afternoon. This is going to change over that lovely snow that was easier to navigate into some tricky ice and hazardous ice on the roadways. We'll also deal with some rain, which is nice at the start for the eastern shoreline, but is not going to be great as we head towards the evening tonight, where we could see a refreeze. We'll deal with more ice potential as we head into the late evening hours of tonight, but it should cut off pushing past 4 a.m. on Monday when that winter warning is allowed to expire. Back to you.
All right, welcome back to this special edition of Good Morning Maryland. We are tracking all the snow. Here's a live look at Ocean City, and that's what I like to see, not a car on the road. I'm just going to let it rock. Oh, there's one. There's one right there. But you know what? One is better than like a ton.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah, everyone's hunkered down there. Maybe at the beach. Probably not. No.
Yeah.
Not a great beach day today, Abigail.
Right. I mean, some people might like that, Abigail. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe. Each their own.
I would like a snowy beach day, but that seems like an oxymoron. Like,
Yeah, snowy beach day.
right, snow doesn't belong on a beach. I don't know. But yeah, lots more cars. Now that you said something.
Dang it, spoke them up.
As we talk about totals, I do want to note some things. If you guys go out and try to measure the snow, it's a little late in the game, and since we've seen a changeover to sleet and a little bit of ice, there's been a little bit of compression with the fluffy snow from earlier. So while we may have gotten 7 inches towards the Hereford zone as we look towards Hunt Valley, we've seen upwards of 6 and 7 inches in this region. With the compacting of some of the snow, thanks to the weight of the ice and pellets, it's closer to about 5. So if you are measuring and you're wondering where I'm getting some of these higher totals, there is a little bit more information for you to know. If you're going out and seeing 5 inches, that's because of the changeover that we have seen. I do want to talk about this. This is the past 6 hours. This has been my trusty source here in the past 6 hours or so since we started the newscast, and even a little bit before that. It's showing how much accumulation we have seen, and it's been about an inch behind. So while it's saying about 5 to 8 inches off towards our west, I think that's a pretty good range. Most of the accumulation totals, which I think we'll see next here, will say about 5 to 6. I think we're pushing closer to 7 and 8 off towards our west, especially if we've seen towards Hunt Valley 7 inches and towards the city proper about 6.5. Once again, sleet will cut down on those numbers quite a bit, and overall our snow totals are still looking accurate from earlier this morning, because we saw that warm nose a little bit earlier in the morning with the model runs of the NAM and the HRRR, to where it also noticed that warm bit of air transferring our snow over to sleet. And when we transfer over to sleet, that severely undercuts our snow totals because our ratio goes down. I know I threw a lot of science at you, but the summation is sleet makes less snow, and since we're seeing sleet, we're seeing less aggressive snow totals. You see 5 here, you see closer to 6 here, and you see 4 here and 3 here. Add about an inch to that for these areas. And as we look towards portions of the eastern shore, I think you're upwards of 5 inches for certain areas, like towards Kent County. As we progress through the next several hours, we're going to see those snow totals drop a bit. Even with the accumulation that we've already gotten, it'll drop because of the weight of this sleet, and as we see some melting and compacting from this rain ice mixture that is starting to lift through thanks to a low pressure system trying to head offshore from Virginia. This is going to create some chaos, possibly some power outages to hit the southern region first, but eventually we'll see this lift from the west and from the south as we head into tonight. This is going to create some issues, especially towards Easton, Cambridge, Waldorf, La Plata, Lexington Park, and off towards the eastern shore. You're seeing it first, but it's going to continue to lift, and the I-95 corridor is looking to get hit first. So be mindful of this. Another way for us to see what's going on With radar, we do correlation coefficient, and that's just a fancy word for seeing things aloft. So we can see the particles in the air, we can see what form it's in, and this gives us an idea that we're getting something a little heavier than snow in our atmosphere. It is showing with this highlighted fiery color, the oranges and the reds, showing that changeover from snow to something heavier, so like sleet and ice and pellets. And so this is mostly on the eastern tier of the state, where we're seeing a lot of that warm air start to push its way in, also towards the northern tier and off towards the mountains, as well as towards the district. So we are going to be dealing with some very rapidly deteriorating roadways in the next few minutes into the next several hours. We're not going to get much reprieve over the next several hours because we are going to be dealing with active radar, and even with this right here, where we're seeing just rain because of a temperature fluctuation into the middle 30s for the eastern shoreline. As we progress forward, we lose that heat. We drop down into the 20s and the teens. Anything left over will freeze tonight and refreeze again as we head into Monday. We'll get a break from activity, yes, but what's left on the roadways are still going to have impacts for you heading out tomorrow morning and afternoon. Now let's turn to Christy Breslin to get a check of the roadways for now and see what those look like.
All right, welcome back to the special edition of WMAR2 News. Our snow coverage continues with a look at the snowy roads there in Towson. Not a whole lot of bare pavement, even though the plows have been going through. Jeff Morgan has said they've been coming through probably every half hour on the hour.
And Mother Nature just undoes the work right after they go through.
Yeah, it is such a tough go for those guys out there right now. So we just want to give a shout out to all the crews out there.
Absolutely.
But all the more reason, Abigail, just to stay off the roads right now.
Please, let them do their work.
Yeah, and MDOT has had its work cut out for them. They got out there early, they did everything right, but with a high accumulating snow first, it's hard to salt and have an impact, because every time they salted and it melted a little bit, it froze and then it got covered with more snow. Now that we're starting to see that transition, we're hoping to see a little bit more of an impact from the salt and the brines on the roadways, but MDOT still has its work cut out for them as we go throughout the next several hours. So heed Mayor Scott, Governor Wes Moore, and all of the meteorologists throughout the region, and just stay indoors. Let MDOT, let the first responders be able to utilize those roadways and make sure that they have the ability to get it done this morning and this afternoon. As we see this changeover, we're going to see rapidly declining roadway conditions, starting really off towards our southeast. It's starting to lift, and it's not necessarily represented by this radar here. It's a little less intrusive for some of the upper layers because of its angle, but we are still seeing some decent bands of snowfall. But what it's not representing is some of this mixture starting to already lift through, and this is impacting our snowfall rate, this is impacting our snowfall totals, and this is impacting our precipitation type. The good news, what little good news we have, we should have a little reprieve here. For the southeastern region of the state, we'll see a warming trend over the next few hours. It should change over to rain. This will help for a very short window where we see some melting. And with the brine on the roadways, we'll see some improvement for those of us who have to be on the roadways before it gets hazardous once again. For the northern tier, we're still dealing with the teens and the 20s. It's slick out there. No reason to be on those roadways. We're even seeing portions of the bay try to freeze, which is showing you just how cold it is outside. Some accumulation here, a little bit of snowfall, although those rates have declined in the past several hours. We're seeing less snowfall from the sky, which is nice to have a little bit of a break, but we still got plenty of accumulation from the early morning hours where we saw rain, snowfall rates in the 1 to 2 inch range across the state. This accumulation up to 7 inches throughout northern portions of the Baltimore County region, and in the city proper closer to 6.5. But we've gotten some sleet and some ice pellets on top of that, up to 2 inches in a few regions. So total accumulation is closer to 8 and 9 inches. So we are right in our range so far. We're dealing with 20 degrees outside, feeling like the teens for a few of us, like the single digits. As far as the range goes, I know everybody wants to know how much we're going to get. This has been adjusted multiple times in the past 48 hours. In the past 12, we've settled on 7 to 10 for this band here, 5 to 8 for the south central region of the state, and the southeastern region 4 to 6, where we're seeing the lowest snowfall but the highest ice potential. So it's not a great trade-off. Even though they're getting less snow, they're getting more ice, and it's going to have more impacts. As we look off towards the mountains, we may need to adjust this a little bit since we are starting to get some warm air trying to make its way in. But so far, this graphic is still up to date and on par for what we expect for the next several hours. We'll see rain as we go into the next several hours. It looks mostly spreading off to the southeastern region. While this starts to transition, we'll have some warmer air move in, no more snow, more some ice, freezing rain, and ice pellets with sleet. We'll finally get a break as we roll into early Monday morning. But these temperatures put into place, I know I'm the bearer of bad news here, is set to refreeze anything left over on the ground and make it hard to navigate as we roll into Friday, hence all the closures rolling into your Monday. Back to you guys.
All right, Abigail, thank you so much. All right.